director at the Philadelphia Child and Family Therapy Training Center. We're so glad you're joining us today. We are here to celebrate our first nominee of the 2025 Marion Lindblad-Goldberg Award. Yay. So excited! We have Denise Stoneroad with us.
How are you?
So good. I feel very spoiled because I have the privilege of working with Denise in our Western Scranton cohort. So I was so excited that she was nominated. And we also have with us Ellen Hill, former Scranton cohort trainer. Hi, Ellen.
Good morning, everybody. Great to
Morning.
see you.
And we have some behind the scenes supports for Denise, which is so cool. We have Judy, who's the executive director of services at Friendship House. Hi, Judy.
Hi, glad to be here.
Yay. And we have Cindy, who I'm hearing is partner in crime with Denise. She is the director of comprehensive case management services. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So I'm so glad you could be here. Yes. And so as preparing Denise that we're going to shower her with compliments, we just want her to breathe through it and be present. And so, Ellen, I want to turn to you first. Why did you nominate Denise for this award?
Well, I think that when I think about starting as a trainer, my cohort that I began with was Scranton at the Tunkhannock Firehouse, if you recall that.
I do.
And just remembering sort of, it was my very first training, and I drove this couple hours. I stayed overnight at a motel, to just make sure that I would be there on time. And all along the way, I felt Denise's presence. Just sort of like, just the way I was curious, she was curious. What's going on here? What are we doing? And I think that she has demonstrated all along the way this sort of the counter feeling of the predisposition of this industry to look at bad kids, to think of them in the context only of what we see. And that the fact that she got that so early on, and that, as Denise also knows, we still sometimes have to do that with people when they're starting in trainings and supervision, that we're still coming back to that message. But it wasn't something that Denise grappled with. It was like, oh, yes, that's all of this is what's needed to look at this differently. That sort of systemic perspective, I think, it's been there from the beginning.
Yeah, I see it all the time, Ellen. Like, doesn't matter what the case is, right? And the peers in the group or some of the staff will be like, oh my gosh, look at this critical event timeline. And Denise is just leading the way, being strength-based, seeing what the family is doing, what they are capable. And I find her leadership as well in the training just, I'm always so appreciative of how she shows up and the lens she uses to look at any case, not just her staff's. Like she wants everyone to be successful in that cohort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As you were just describing that, I was kind of picturing like steady as she goes. Mm-hmm. The amount of regulation that she brings. I remember different conversations we had where we would be talking just one-on-one, the grown-ups talking, and like realizing how she's able to be that container that's needed to like, okay, let's bring it down here. And I just saw that from the very beginning, and it's such an invisible thread.
Yeah. I hear you talking and about her dedication, and I can hear that it's impacted you. And I wonder if you could share one of the ways, I'm sure there's many, but share one of the ways that her dedication to the training center's mission, her dedication to her community has impacted your own growth.
We meet colleagues along the way who just create this place where including bringing out the best in me, bringing out the best in our work together when we're doing things. And I think that when we all have days where we're like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? But when you have colleagues who are part of your work, who share, who hold that kind of frustration from time to time, while at the same time not deviating from the true north, that her vision of the mission and her vision of how to implement this model became along the way so steadfast, and she restated it from time to time. Yep, I see why we do it that way. I see why we're going that direction. Oh, and about that video, yes to the video.
Yeah.
And seeing that, just having that, it becomes like this loop, that for us trainers, we're no different than the supervisors or the moms and dads or the executive directors, and that all of us need that connection with the people that we're working with, and need that sense of shared purpose.
I have seen just this year, having change and bringing two cohorts together, Denise's ability to inspire her staff to show up with follow-up videos, to show up working their graduation project, has really influenced the rest of the group. I mean, we get sometimes 2 or 3 follow-up videos per a train. Right? And really the amount of learning that's coming from that. So yeah, I hear you loud and clear, Ellen. Is there something you could share that speaks to what you've seen her do in the face of adversity, which I think is a duh question, because you're working in community mental health, you're surely facing adversity. But I wonder if there's something that has stood out to you that you just wanted to punctuate about Denise.
I think, first of all, she's an excellent brake pumper. She is able to take a team or a presentation or a frame that's not working, and she's able to say, like, okay, let's pump the brakes for a minute. Let's go back. Let's look at the tools. Let's do this. Let's do that. And importantly, I think Denise asked a very important question that sometimes we miss on the topic of what are we missing. I think Denise is very good at saying, we have this, and this. Is there anything we missed? So that her ability to show up in the stuck moment, if that is sort of answering your
Yes.
question, is very important to be the person who holds all of those pieces, because on the one hand, it's the compassion for the practitioner and saying, okay. And that we know we have to do that first, leading with the kindness, leading with the compassion, leading with the understanding. This is tough. This is really, really hard. And let's look at it. Let's see what we're missing, and seeing the way that filters out into the whole treatment invisible thread. Jen, we always talk about the invisible thread, the isomorphic process. And I see that over and over with Denise. And I think it's very important, because the supervisor, the director, has a lot of power and agency to contribute to these teams of 3 that they have. They have a lot to give. And Denise, I think, this may be, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think Denise has in some ways delighted in owning that power and agency over the years.
Yeah, she knows it's special, and she understands that working through her staff helps them to change the lives in the community and work the mission.
We're always choosing what we're going to do with the power and agency.
Yeah.
And
Denise, I hope you're hanging on to your seat, lady.
She's dying in that seat.
I have to be honest, Jen. This is a little uncomfortable for me. So I'm sitting in my uncomfortableness.
You're sweating bullets over there, I think.
Yes.
Yep, showing leadership as we speak. So Judy, why don't we turn to you? So why are you not surprised that Denise has been nominated?
I think this is going to be a boring kind of interview here, because I think we're all going to say the same things. Listening to Ellen, it was delightful to hear her. I've heard her name so many times from Denise, and information going back and forth, but never met her, and she probably summed up Denise as well as anyone could have. It's interesting for me for Denise to get recognized in family-based, because she's done other service for so many years, and about 6 years ago agreed to take on family-based. Having not done it before, Friendship House was taking over this part of the agency, and she agreed and just kind of dove into it. So she was learning all along, as Ellen, you're talking about going and having her be part of some of your initial trainings. Denise was new at this, and she needed to understand and integrate it into what she knew clinically. So over the years, she has certainly become an expert in family-based. We go to her internally here, and any of the providers that make referrals to her know that she knows this service. And going from learning it to that's the lens she looks through. That's how she sees clinical work. When you talk about a case, she's talking about it from the perspective of family-based. It's who she has become. So it's comfortable for her. She can't be more of a champion for family-based. She knows the limitations. She knows the strengths of it. She has no problem saying family-based can't help here, or yes, family-based is the right service, and let's do this, and we can accommodate this, and she can twist it and turn it. She's mastered it in the 6 years she's done it. There's probably people that have done this for many more years who don't have that understanding. So being nominated is, it seems to me, logical in this process. She's the face of family-based.
What can you share with us at least one thing that you appreciate about Denise's leadership? As it sounds like we all agree that there's many. What was something that you appreciate about her leadership?
I think it's a very difficult service to deliver, from the perspective of the complexity of the cases that get referred, to the fact that it's team delivered, and we sometimes lose sight of the difficulty in team. Denise is very present to her staff. She knows them. She's comfortable with them. They're comfortable with her. She knows them as persons, and she challenges them as professionals. That is consistent for her. She has been through a lot of staff over 6 years. You know how these agencies go, and what happens with staff, and right down to the very last one. I don't think any of them would have anything negative to say about her. Her commitment to them, again, as persons, but also challenging them professionally, as she challenges herself. Making videos is not something that's comfortable for her, and she talks about that, but she does it. She has to do it because she makes her staff do it. So it's just that they see her as their leader, and she backs away from nothing. I think that's probably, from her supervisor perspective, I deal very little with staff issues in family-based. And if there's anything I can say that speaks to her leadership, clearly.
Check the box on that one, Judy. Something you could share about what you've seen her do in the face of adversity. Obviously, as we're saying, this is not an easy lift in community mental health. But what would you share in terms of what you've seen Denise do in the face of adversity?
It's very difficult to define what would qualify as adversity to Denise, because she really is very consistent in her presentation. Ellen, I absolutely agree with that. There is just a calmness that comes over her. The staff here go to her. In fact, they use her, right? Like if there's an issue, it'll be, even Denise is frustrated. So if Denise is frustrated, this is an issue and it has to be dealt with. Like that if I hear that phrase, I know I have to respond immediately. So I would say that, staffing issues often, I would say, from an adversity perspective, like with COVID, with losing staff, with having to get staff into the homes, with having to continually, face your own fears and your own hesitation about that, and yet present as confident and as comfortable and as supportive as she could be. So in that way, there's an ability to kind of sort through personally and then professionally do what needs to be done to get the service delivered.
Cindy, why are you not surprised Denise has been nominated for this award?
I'm going to echo all the same things that Ellen and Judy have said. I feel very, very blessed and fortunate to be able to work with Denise daily because Denise's ability to always remain level-headed and see things from a different lens and a view is, I tell her, I wish I could have more of that skill. And she makes it look so seamless and easy, and it just comes to her, and she's calming. And sometimes, you know, if I'm more excitable about something, she can really help direct that with me. And, you know, we work closely together depending on the cases. And every morning we meet to discuss things about cases or challenging cases, or her willingness to always go out and take on a family. Like she's currently has a family that, you know, she's working with one of her teams to kind of see how much we could do with them. And her critical thinking skills really can make people take a step back and be like, oh, I can see it that way. So I feel very fortunate to be able to have her as not only a colleague, as a friend, because we spend a lot of time together in working together on some challenging cases and trying to figure out things or be creative on how we do service delivery in some challenging ways, and her support to her team. And I'm going to echo what Judy said. I always say this: if Denise is frustrated, you know it's bad. Like you might expect that from another colleague, but when Denise is, and her frustration is probably most people's baseline, is what I like to say. So you don't even like, you know, it's frustration. So, and she's just delightful to be able to work with, and in getting to know her through the years has really helped grow others and have me have a perspective differently on things.
Well, it's interesting, Cindy, because I was thinking as you were talking, you know, understanding your professional relationship more with her. I actually wanted to pivot and ask you, you know, how has her dedication impacted your growth?
Oh God, in so many ways. Just really her view of things of when we're dealing with, and you know, that's a broad question, and probably daily her dedication probably impacts me. And Denise, as we all said, Denise does not like all the fluff and all of this. And I know this is uncomfortable, you know, but she's most deserving of this because I don't think she realizes how much she impacts people daily, or taking a step back. And I mean, in the professional way, and even me on a personal level. And just really her view to see things differently and really even peel and never, I really don't think I've ever seen her get upset. What
everybody's saying is, if we're in training and Denise says I'm frustrated, I better email Judy.
Yes, yes.
Shut the place down. Just shut it down because something's wrong.
I'll reach out. Don't worry, I'll reach out to you, Jen.
Yeah.
But now I know the word to look for, because, you know, as you're talking, Cindy, I'm sitting here going like, yeah, I haven't seen her do that. Yeah, she really does it. Yeah, you know, she's steady.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Always.
Yeah.
And she is always there for not only her staff, but for other staff within the agency when they need the help and the support. So
Wow.
I thoroughly enjoy working with Denise every single day, having our morning, well, I would say like our morning sessions, and then we start our day and we feel good. And then normally we reconnect, you know, maybe at lunchtime or toward the end of the day. And, you know, and I think that's really helpful for the work that we do, because the work could be challenging, and it kind of helps us regroup what we're doing, you know, on shared cases, or even if it's not a case that we share, we sometimes I'll go to her for some like, what do you think about this, Denise? And where should we go with this? You know, and I value that.
like in everything you just described. I was going to ask you about what you've seen her do in the face of adversity, but it sounds like, I mean, you've really laid out this very clear picture that she leans into adversity, right? I mean, that's what I keep hearing over and over again. She's like, oh, adversity, let's hold arms. Right. So Denise, I want to turn to you. You know, and I wonder, you know, what does it mean for you to be recognized as having the same passion and commitment as our fearless director emeritus, Marion Lindblad-Goldberg, in her work in this mission to make sure that, you know, children could grow and develop in their homes?
It's exciting, because in this field, you really don't get a whole lot of recognition for what you're doing, unless something negative comes out, and then it's all about, you know, this field isn't doing what they need to do. So to be acknowledged for things are going well and things are going right, and you're helping families and you're helping children and you're doing it one family at a time, I think it's exciting. It's a little humbling. And I appreciate everything everybody has said. Like I said, it does make me a little uncomfortable because I'm not used to being the focus of attention.
Well, as long as you don't say you're frustrated, it don't matter.
I'm not frustrated today.
Um,
But I do, I mean, learning about Marion, I think was important in learning about what this whole model is all about and how it developed. Being acknowledged for following kind of in her footsteps, it's a big honor. So it's exciting to me to be placed in that at that level.
So what sustains and inspires you in this work? Because as Judy has pointed out, this is hard work.
Well, as Ellen had mentioned, I came from a very different background. Before I started family-based, I came from the behavioral background. And I have said in many trainings and in many supervisions that I wish I had known this model a long time ago, because I do see how this model is very effective in helping families. So I think that was something that really helped me, is to start looking at things from the relational aspect of things and not from the behavioral. I do believe that I tended, and you guys may not have seen it because we didn't work together at that time, but I did get frustrated working from the behavioral aspect. So I think looking at the way this model approaches things has really helped, that whenever a challenge comes up, just looking at how that can be done relationally as opposed to just taking care of what the issue is. So I do think that helps me a lot. I've always wanted to, my original plan was to be a pediatrician. And when I found out I didn't like the sight of blood or broken bones, that kind of went to the wayside. So, but I always had the desire to help people. So I think in working with the families and doing this for the amount of time that I've been doing it, I think even the small challenges, even though you get those difficult families and you know, you get the families that maybe this isn't going to work for, the families that you can see just even the little progress, and the families that come up to you after you completed the treatment and like it's a year later and they come up and they still know who you are and still say how much you were helpful, it is that help, like Marion said, one family at a time, and that one family just, it kind of boosts your confidence again. So just seeing those small progresses or even the long-term progress really helps when you're struggling.
What would you say is the growth, right, that you're most proud of? We know we've heard comment after comment on how you've overcome adversity. What's the growth that you are most proud of at this point in your career?
Well, I do think it was a challenge to switch from the behavioral to the relational. However, I think in doing that, it not only helped me look at things differently, but as a supervisor, it helped me to, as Cindy said, and Judy said, I know the staff. And I think getting to know them from the trainings and from the phases of team development and looking at things that way, it has helped me to get to know the staff. It's helped me do self-exploration with what I'm bringing to the table, how I interject and interact with families, but it also helps me to understand where the staff might be coming from. So as a supervisor, I think it's helped me grow that way, because I can then relate back to them. Did you ever think that this might be something that's affecting the way you're looking at this family? So I do think it's helped me grow as a supervisor also, to be able to look relationally at the whole picture, not just the interaction between families, but what it all looks like.
I don't get speechless often, but I'm like, wow.
Congratulations, Denise.
Denise.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you.
Yes. So folks, we are going to be accepting nominations until March, and then June 2nd is the big reveal at the program directors meeting. And we'll be launching live all over our social media for people to see who the recipient will be. And I'm sure everybody here is thinking, well, my goodness, Denise Stoneroad, it makes sense she was nominated.
Now I'm going to tell you, don't waste your time. You're done.
That's right. That's right. So make sure that you check out our blog so you can become a subscriber to our newsletter. And until next time, folks, keep on changing lives one unit at a time. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.